Hey, what's going on everybody? Alex here with Freedom Mowers, and I hope you guys are having a good one. We're gonna jump right into things today. Weather's starting to warm up around here, and I know that gardening season is gonna be coming up soon, and everybody's gonna be mowing their grass, so hopefully a lot of these repairs are gonna help you guys. Today we're gonna be working on a earthquake 2-cycle tiller, and I believe that these are normally sold at the tractor supply stores. I believe Lowe's and Home Depot both sell them. But this one I actually got from the dump. So we are gonna try to revive this machine and get it going and hopefully have a good running tiller that somebody can use for their garden. Right off the bat, this has a broken primer bulb. It is totally dry rotted and fell apart there, and the fuel lines have rotted off. So HIPA reached out. This is from HIPA360. They have their website, the HIPA360.com, or you can find their products on Amazon. I'll show you guys what they sent over here. They sent over a brand new carburetor that came with the gasket, and also comes with a new plug. There is fuel line, a couple of fuel filters, and a couple more primer bulbs in case in the future any of this stuff starts to dry rot. It'll come with extras. So let me get some tools out and we'll get started. All right, so to start things off on the particular one that I'm working on here, you may not have to remove the fuel tank. I am going to remove the fuel tank on it because all of the old fuel line and fuel filter are all trapped in here, and I want to get the tank off, get all the pieces out, and just blow in here to get any debris out. That way I know I have a clean tank, and that will be ready to go for the fuel lines installed. So it looks like on this particular one there is just these 2 Allen heads, and then I believe just 2 10mm bolts on the bottom to get the cover off. Alright, so it was just the 2 Allens on the top and the 2 10mm on the bottom, and we should be able to just take this top shroud out. So that whole piece comes out, and that exposes our tank. So we should just have 4 10mm. Should just have these 4 10mm right here, and the tank should come right off. All right, it's just the 4 10mm, and now the tank will come right off. And just got the old grommet for the fuel lines, and all the pieces on the inside here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the tank cleaned out, and we'll get that done, and then we can move on to the carburetor removal. All right, well, here's a quick view of what came out of the tank. Pretty nasty fuel line. Usually a lot of the corrosion and dry rot is caused by the ethanol in the fuel. So I'll finish getting the tank cleaned out, and we will move on to the carb. So now we are on to the carburetor. To take off this air box, there's just a little clip here on the edge to pinch in, and then one on the other side, and then the air box should come right off. I'm gonna leave it attached because it has the on-off switch on here. I'll just move that off to the side, and then we just have our air filter and this little metal bracket here to keep the air filter spaced away. So we'll set those right off to the side, and then we should just have the 2 Allen heads to take loose, and that should take off the front of this air box and also remove the carburetor off from the mounting bracket. All right, I got these 2 loosened up. You can go ahead and remove the 2 bolts. Take the intake housing or air filter housing, and then you should just be left with the carburetor by itself. And at this point, I believe you should just be able to, I need to get a wrench for this, but you should be able to move this throttle cable or move the throttle assembly down to disconnect that cable. All right, well, I backed this adjustment off a little bit, and then what you need to do is basically push the throttle lever over by hand and pull that spring down, and what that's going to do is it's going to let that cable come out of that groove, and then from that point you can just unthread the carburetor. We'll take this spring off. And there you have it. Carburetor's off. Throttle cable, we'll set that to the side. And we'll get everything out to install the new carburetor. All right, well, here is the new carb. Now this one does come with the, I guess the throttle cable lock here at the end, which we shouldn't need because ours is still on the end of our cable. So we're gonna take that off. I'll start the threads just a little bit, and then we have to put our tension spring back on, which we can slide down, and then we'll finish running this in. We'll get it up close enough, and then I should be able to compress the spring. You need to make sure that this cable hold right here is going to be in the right position. There's a bigger opening on one side, which is going to allow your cable to go in, so I need to give myself a little bit more cable here, and then we should be able to get this to slide in. All right, I think if I back this out now, should draw that cable up. There we go. Just took a little finagling. Now I'm just going to try to adjust the cable where there's no, where there's a little bit of slack, just a tiny bit. All right, and I think we've got it there. So now I can go ahead and run up the lock nut. I'll tighten that up, and then we just need to take our gasket and line that up with the two mounting holes here, and make sure that you have one of those ports over the port on the back of the carburetor. We'll go ahead, rest that against there. Actually, what I'll do is I'll take the housing and the gasket on the back, and we will run the bolts through. That way we can get everything lined up, and then we'll take the, so now just hold the bolts in there, and now we've got the air box, the carburetor, and the gasket all in place. So now we can go ahead, press it up against, and then just draw these bolts up. Now you just want to draw these up and snug them. You don't want to go overboard and try to really wrench on it, because you're going to end up stripping something out. The housing that these go into is plastic, so just snug them up. Check to make sure that everything feels secure, because the gasket's supposed to do the job of sealing. Make sure choke lever and everything is working. And at this point we should be done with the carburetor install. Now it's just going to be getting the fuel line and the tank back on and getting the grommet back in the tank. Alright, so at this point I did take out, when I was cleaning the tank, the old grommet for the fuel lines. This thing is hard as a rock and dry rotted. The new kit came with one. So I believe the outer line that this connects to, or the outer tube, is going to be your return, which should only need to go from that fitting just into the tank, just to dump the fuel back in there. So that one shouldn't need to be too long. What you're going to have to do most of the time to get these started into anything is to make an angle on the tip of the line, which I'm going to do here with these side cutters. So you end up making yourself a point, and then you can, oops, first off, make sure you're going the right way. But normally once you get it started in there, then you can just take your pliers and work that line in there. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this one, but we're going to have to measure out the line to get the fuel filter in, because you want that to be resting on the bottom of your tank. So should be pretty good with this side. Just need a little bit to go in the tank. And so I'll probably just cut that right there. And then I'll start working on the other part of the line that's going to go to the fuel filter. And then I'll trim the end of this line back up to clean it up where we cut that angle. So now we should have the one side done. That's going to go in and then connect right up. And then what I'll go ahead and do is we will start the other side. If I can get it at least started in there. Now we should be able to get that with the pliers. All right. So now what I'm going to do is clean up the end here. Go ahead and put on the fuel filter. All right. Well, I got it on there the best that I can, and I will, depends on how hard this is to get in the tank, but I may end up putting just a little bit of oil on the outside of this as well to get it to help slide in the groove. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit extra long. That way I can feed in the filter. I'll make sure that gets all the way down at the bottom of the tank. And then I'm going to pull the slack here. And basically at this point, I'm just going to be trying to put this grommet in. Alright, now at this point I've got that grommet installed. I did need to put just a little bit of oil on it, and just with a flat tip, I was just able to, you get one side started and you kind of just work the edge around until it falls into place. Gonna go ahead and connect up the fuel line on this one. So we still have a good inch or so where that's in the tank. So I'm gonna just pull a little bit out for some slack in that line. And then we have our feed line. This is the one with the fuel filter. You just want to measure that out. I'll measure it out just a little bit long so I can have some slack in it. Now what I'm gonna do is take my pliers and just pull out a little bit of that slack, because I don't want a kink in that hose at all. But now, show you all, we've got the upper line that's hooked right in. Then we have that lower one that's closer to the body of the motor, and that should be your one that has the filter on it. I believe I'm right here. If I need to switch these lines, you can always just switch the two. But I didn't know 100% because the lines were already broken off on this one. But at this point, the tank head mounted back up. We've got the brand new grommet, the 2 new fuel lines, the fuel filter on there, and the new carb. So we should just be able to put some 50-to-1 mix in this machine, and I'll get the air filter back on and we'll give it a shot starting it up. All right, well, I got the covers back on here. We just had, the last thing we really had was just the 2 Allen bolts on the front and the 2 10mm on the bottom. I went ahead and put in some 50-to-1 2-stroke mix and got everything buttoned up on the air filter housing. So we will go ahead, turn this to the on position. We'll put it to choke. Not sure exactly how many times to prime, but we'll give it a few primes and see what it does. Make sure you guys can see. Alright guys, well, I appreciate y'all checking out the video. I hope you guys were able to learn something on this, and if you do have an earthquake tiller, hopefully this helps you get a new carburetor or some fuel lines installed on there. We did both today, and I think this machine should be tuned up and ready for somebody to use here in a few more weeks to get their garden going. So if you guys do like this kind of content and these kind of repairs, let me know, and I will do some more in the future. We're gonna be doing lots of lawnmowers, blowers, riding mowers, tractors, all kinds of fun stuff. So if you guys do like it, make sure to hit that like, leave me a comment, and you know, subscribe below if you do. And I hope you guys have a great one. And on that note, let freedom ring and let those small engines sing. I'll see you on the next video.